The notification pinged while I was scraping ancient wallpaper off the living room walls. Another family group chat I wasn't part of. My cousin Addison's engagement party invitation, forwarded by my mother with an apologetic, "Thought you should know, honey. I'm Maria, and for the past 3 years, I've poured every spare minute and dollar into renovating my family's worst property. A crumbling duplex that my Aunt Karen swore would be mine once I proved myself. Some women collect shoes or designer bags. I collected contractor quotes and building permits, dreaming of the day this dump would become my stepping stone to independence. Maria?" My mother's voice echoed through the empty rooms. I hadn't heard her come in. "You're here again? It's Sunday." Someone has to be. I wiped sweat from my forehead, probably smearing wallpaper paste everywhere. The wiring in the East unit is finally up to code. No thanks to Uncle Caleb's creative interpretations of electrical safety. Mom picked her way through the debris, looking uncomfortable in her church clothes. Karen called. She wants to know if you'll be at Addison's engagement party next weekend, at the country club. Funny how Aunt Karen can ask you about me but can't add me to the group chat. I attacked another stubborn strip of wallpaper. Or call me directly, or acknowledge that I'm fixing her mistake of a property for practically free. She's traditional. You know how she is about unmarried women with careers, about nieces who don't know their place. The wallpaper tore with a satisfying rip. Yeah, Mom, I know exactly how she is. My phone buzzed again. A text from Cody, my ex. "Inspection tomorrow at 2. Don't forget to clear the permit papers." "Is that Cody?" Mom brightened. "He was such a nice boy. Maybe if you—" "Mom." I set down my scraper. "Cody's just helping me navigate the inspection process, and I'm not interested in being set up. I'm interested in finishing this place and finally having something that's mine." She sighed, running her finger along a freshly painted windowsill. "It's looking beautiful. You've done amazing work here." "Thanks." I managed a smile. 3 years of nights and weekends, every bonus from the architecture firm. Worth it though, right? Once the paperwork goes through, Mom's hesitation was barely noticeable, but it sent a chill down my spine. "Right?" "Of course, honey." She fumbled with her purse. She has plans. For everyone. You know how she likes to arrange things." Before I could press further, her phone chimed. "That's your father. Church committee meeting." She hurried toward the door, then paused. "The engagement party. Please come. For me. Addison's asking for you." I thought of my cousin Addison. Perfect Addison, with her perfect fiancé Jack, and her perfect life that aligned so neatly with Aunt Karen's vision of how young women should be. "Fine, I'll be there." After Mom left, I stood in the silence of my almost finished project. Every surface held memories of exhaustion and triumph. The kitchen I'd redesigned at midnight after 12-hour workdays. The bathroom tiles I'd laid myself. YouTube tutorials playing on my phone. The foundation issues I'd documented and fixed, despite Uncle Caleb insisting they weren't real problems. My phone lit up with another group chat notification. This one showing Addison's smiling face at some pre-engagement brunch I hadn't been invited to. Karen's comment below, "Can't wait to give our special girl her special surprise." Something twisted in my stomach. I called Cody. "Hey." His familiar voice was warm. "About tomorrow's inspection." "Cody, does Karen ever talk to you? About the duplex?" A pause. "You know I can't discuss. Please. Something feels wrong." He sighed. "Maria, just keep all your documentation, okay? Everything you've spent, every improvement you've made, every conversation about promises." The twist in my stomach turned to ice. "You know something." "I can't say more. But Maria, whatever happens, remember I'm still your friend. And I know how city property complaints work, if you ever need to know." I hung up and stared at my reflection in the newly installed windows. 3 years of work, my life savings. All those subtle digs from Karen about how ambitious I was, how I needed to learn my place. The engagement party invitation glowed on my phone screen. Something was coming. I could feel it in every bone of my body, in every wall I'd rebuilt with my own hands. I picked up my scraper and attacked the wallpaper with renewed fury. Whatever Karen was planning, she was about to learn exactly how ambitious I could be. The country club ballroom sparkled with fairy lights and champagne flutes. I tugged at my cocktail dress, feeling like an imposter among the pearls and pastels of my extended family. Addison floated through the crowd in designer white, Jack trailing behind her like a well-trained puppy. "Maria!" Addison squealed, air-kissing my cheek. "You came, and you're wearing black." "Congratulations," I managed, forcing a smile. "The duplex is almost ready, just waiting on the final inspection sign-off." "Oh, that old thing?" She giggled, exchanging glances with Jack. "You've been so dedicated, almost like it's your own—" "Addison," Aunt Karen's voice cut through the chatter. "Darling, it's time for the announcements." I retreated to the bar, where my mother stood nursing a gin and tonic. "You okay?" she whispered. "Fine." I wasn't. Just wondering why I'm here when nobody wanted me on the guest list. "Ladies and gentlemen," Karen clinked her glass, commanding attention like the queen she thought she was. "We're here to celebrate not just an engagement, but a legacy." My Uncle Caleb appeared beside her, beaming. The room hushed. "Our precious Addison," Karen continued, "is embarking on a beautiful journey with Jack. And as her mother, I wanted to give them something special, something that represents our family's values of hard work and tradition." My heart stopped. Thanks to the incredible renovations recently completed, Karen's eyes swept past me like I was invisible. "I'm thrilled to announce that Caleb and I are gifting our newly restored duplex property to the happy couple." The room erupted in applause. I couldn't breathe. What a wonderful investment property for their future. Karen raised her glass. "The perfect start for a proper family." Addison squealed, hugging her mother. Jack grinned, probably already calculating the rental income. I felt my mother's hand grip my arm. "Maria," she whispered. "Don't—" I yanked away, pushing through the crowd toward the exit. Behind me, I heard murmurs. "Isn't that the niece who— well, she never was the settling down type. Too focused on her career." "Maria!" Karen's voice stopped me at the door. "Leaving so soon? Without congratulating your cousin?" I turned slowly. Karen stood there, perfectly coiffed, radiating false concern. "How long?" My voice was barely steady. "How long were you planning this?" "Planning?" She smiled sweetly. "I'm simply ensuring family property goes to someone who'll use it properly. For a family. Not some independent living experiment. I spent 3 years being very ambitious." She patted my cheek. "Too ambitious, really. Women like you never know when to stop pushing, when to let others take the lead. I put everything I had into that building, and we're very grateful for your enthusiasm." Her smile hardened. "But really, dear, what were you going to do with a whole duplex? Live alone? Run a business? That's not what we do." The room spun. 3 years of memories flashed through my mind. The illegal wiring I'd discovered and fixed. The foundation problems Uncle Caleb had hidden. The dozens of code violations I'd carefully documented before correcting. "You're right, Aunt Karen." I smiled, matching her sweetness. "I am ambitious, and you have no idea how much." I walked out, my heels clicking on marble floors. Outside, I leaned against my car, hands shaking as I pulled out my phone. "Cody? Remember when you mentioned knowing about city property complaints?" "Maria," He sounded worried. What happened? They gave it to Addison. All of it. Every bit of work, every dollar I spent. They're turning it into her wedding present. Silence. Then, come over. Bring your documentation. All of it. Why? Because I've seen your uncle's original permits, and I know exactly what they tried to cover up before you started renovating. If someone were to report those violations... I thought of Karen's smug face, of 3 years of my life stolen, of being called too ambitious, like it was a crime. Text me your address, I said. And Cody? Thank you. As I drove away from the country club, I caught a glimpse of the celebration in my rearview mirror. They thought they'd put me in my place. Instead, they'd just shown me exactly where to aim. Karen wanted to talk about family values? Fine. Let's see how she valued her perfect gift when the city condemned it. I smiled, remembering every shortcut, every violation I'd discovered and documented. Sometimes the most ambitious thing a woman can do is burn it all down. Cody's apartment was exactly what you'd expect from a city inspector. Organized chaos of building codes and permit applications. He cleared takeout containers from his coffee table while I spread out my documentation. Start with the foundation, he said, handing me a beer. That's where your uncle really screwed up. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through photos. See these cracks? Uncle Caleb filled them with foam sealant instead of proper repairs. I fixed most of it, but the original violation is still there. Jesus, Cody leaned closer. That's not just a violation. That's criminal negligence. One bad storm and the whole east wing could collapse. I took a long drink. There's more. The wiring in the walls, they used aluminum instead of copper to save money. Mixed the two together in some places. Fire hazard? He grabbed a notepad. Major fire hazard. What else? For 2 hours we catalogued every corner cut, every safety measure ignored. Each revelation made me angrier. I can't believe I covered for them, I said, staring at a photo of mold-infested insulation. I kept fixing their mistakes, thinking they'd appreciate it. Cody touched my hand. Maria, you know once you file this complaint, there's no going back. Your family isn't family. I pulled away. Family doesn't steal 3 years of your life. My phone buzzed. A text from Addison. Having a duplex planning party tomorrow. Bring your renovation notes. Pretty, please? They're not even pretending to be sorry, I muttered. The city takes anonymous complaints seriously, Cody said carefully, especially with photo evidence. But you'll need to remove any proof of your own repairs. Otherwise, I'm liable to. I started sorting photos into 2 piles. God, look at this one. It was a snapshot from last Christmas, me covered in drywall dust, grinning proudly at a newly finished wall. Karen stood in the background, already plotting. You really loved that place, Cody said softly. I loved what it represented. Freedom, independence. I crumpled the photo. Everything Karen hates. Another text buzzed. My mother. Karen's asking for the renovation files. Says she needs them for insurance. Please call me. They're panicking, Cody observed. They know they can't prove the work was done properly. I stood up, pacing. Remember when we first met? You were doing the preliminary inspection, and I was so excited to start renovating. You had plans? He smiled. Big ones. And Karen shot down every single one. Too modern, too independent, too ambitious. I spat the last word. She kept saying, "Trust the family, Maria. Family knows best." My phone rang. Karen's number. I let it go to voicemail. You don't have to do this tonight, Cody said. Take time to think. No. I sat back down, pulling up the city's complaint website. I've thought enough. 3 years of thinking while they planned to steal everything. The complaint form was simple. address, nature of violation, supporting evidence. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Wait. Cody disappeared into his bedroom, returning with a small box. Before you do this, I found something in the old inspection files. He handed me a yellowed photograph. My breath caught. There I was, maybe 6 years old, sitting on the duplex's front steps. Mom was behind me, younger and happier, while Karen stood at the edge of the frame, already watching, already judging. That was the day they bought the property, I whispered. I remember being so excited. Karen promised I could help design the renovations when I grew up. You did more than help, Cody said. You saved that building, made it something beautiful, and now they're giving it to Addison to destroy. I tucked the photo into my pocket. Well, they can't destroy what the city condemns. I started typing. Address, violations, evidence. My hands shook, but my mind was clear. Maria. Cody's voice was gentle. Last chance to back out. I thought of Karen's smug face at the party, of Addison's fake sympathy, of 3 years watching my dreams get twisted into someone else's gift. They want to talk about family legacy? I hit submit. Let's see how they like this one. The confirmation email arrived instantly. Thank you for your concern. An inspector will investigate within 24 hours. I gathered my documents, leaving behind anything that showed my involvement. At the door, Cody caught my arm. Whatever happens, he said, I've got your back. Thanks. I managed to smile. But after tomorrow, I don't think anyone will have my back, and that's okay. Sometimes being ambitious means being alone. Walking to my car, I touched the old photo in my pocket. Tomorrow, Karen would learn exactly what happened when you underestimated an ambitious woman with nothing left to lose. Dawn found me back at the duplex, using my key one last time. The morning light streamed through windows I'd installed myself, casting long shadows across freshly finished floors. In a few hours, this would all belong to Addison, but right now, it was still mine. My phone buzzed. Addison. Coming over at 10 to measure for curtains. Jack wants to knock down some walls. So excited. Over my dead body, I muttered, heading to the basement. The old filing cabinet creaked open. Inside were the real records of this place, not the sanitized versions Karen kept at her house. I pulled out folder after folder, spreading them across the dusty floor. My phone rang. Mom. Where are you? She asked, without preamble. Karen's looking for the building records. I bet she is. I flipped through receipts showing the original cut rate materials. Tell her I'm busy. Maria, please. She's talking about lawyers, something about proving ownership. Good. I found what I was looking for, photos of the original foundation damage. Let her get lawyers involved. I'm sure they'd love to see these. What are you doing? Protecting myself. I hung up. Behind the filing cabinet, a loose floorboard concealed my biggest evidence cache. I pried it up, revealing a waterproof container full of before and after photos. Each one documented a violation I'd fixed, and proved what the building had been like before. Footsteps creaked overhead. Maria? Addison's voice. Your car's outside. Are you here? Shit. I scrambled to gather the papers. In the basement, I called up. Just getting my tools. Can you help me plan the remodel? Jack has amazing ideas. I'm sure he does, I thought, shoving documents into my bag. The basement steps groaned as Addison descended. Oh my God, it's creepy down here. She wrinkled her nose. We should totally turn it into a wine cellar. The foundation. I stopped myself. Let them find out the hard way. Sure, great idea. Mom wants the renovation files. Addison peered around. She said you kept everything? Most of it's at my apartment. I kicked the loose floorboard back into place. I'll bring it later. Perfect. Jack's bringing his contractor friend tonight. We're thinking of taking out that support beam to open up the space. My stomach lurched. That beam was holding up half the house. Addison, you can't. It'll be fine. She bounced on her toes. Mum says we should make it our own. Speaking of, she wants you to hand over your key, since it's not yours anymore, her tone implied. Right? I pulled out my keyring. Here. She hugged me, all expensive perfume and oblivious privilege. You're the best. I know this is weird, but Mum says it's for the best. You're too focused on work anyway. My phone vibrated. A text from Cody. Inspector assigned. ETA 2 hours. I should go. I shouldered my bag. Good luck with everything. Wait, Addison called as I climbed the stairs. Don't you want to see our plans? I paused at the top. Sunlight caught the crystal chandelier I'd hung last month, scattering rainbows across walls I'd painted with my own hands. No, I said quietly. I don't think I do. Outside, I sat in my car, hands shaking as I sorted through the evidence. Every receipt showing substandard materials, every photo of shortcuts and cover-ups, every email where I'd warned them about problems, only to be ignored. My phone exploded with notifications. Karen. Where are the files? Mum. Please call me. Addison. The contractor's here early. So exciting. Cody. Inspector on the way. Last chance to back out. I looked up at the duplex. My duplex. In every way, except legally. Through the window, I could see Addison gesturing excitedly to a man with a clipboard. They were already planning to destroy everything I'd built. Slowly, deliberately, I opened my laptop. The city's property complaint portal was still up from last night. I began uploading photos. The rotting support beams hidden behind fresh paint. The electrical violations lurking in the walls. The foundation problems waiting to collapse. My finger hovered over the submit button. One last text from Mum. Whatever you're planning, be sure. I was sure. I'd never been more sure of anything in my life. I hit submit. The confirmation email arrived immediately. Additional evidence received. Inspector en route. I started my car, taking one final look at the duplex. In a few hours, Karen would learn exactly what happened when you pushed an ambitious woman too far. And I had front row seats to watch it all burn. I parked across the street, watching through tinted windows as the city inspector's van pulled up to the duplex. 2 officials in navy uniforms stepped out, carrying clipboards and cameras. Right on schedule. My phone lit up. Cody. It's happening. You sure about this? Before I could respond, Karen's Mercedes screeched into the driveway. She emerged in full battle gear. Designer suit, pearls, and that artificial smile she used for authority figures. Addison and Jack tumbled out behind her. Good morning. Karen's voice carried across the street. There must be some mistake. We have no inspections scheduled today. The lead inspector consulted his tablet. Ma'am, we're responding to a priority complaint about multiple code violations. I'm going to need to see all areas of the property. Complaints? Karen's smile flickered. Impossible. We just had it renovated. Nevertheless, he held up a document. We have photographic evidence of serious structural and safety concerns. I rolled down my window slightly, not wanting to miss a word. This is ridiculous. Karen pulled out her phone. I'm calling our lawyer. That's your right, ma'am. The inspector moved toward the door. But we're still conducting our inspection. If you interfere, we'll return with police escort. Addison clutched Jack's arm. Mom, what's happening? The second inspector was already taking photos of the exterior. Ma'am, these foundation cracks. When was the last structural assessment? My brother-in-law handled all that, Karen snapped. Everything's perfectly fine. My phone buzzed again. Mom. Karen's hysterical. What did you do? I watched as the inspectors disappeared inside. Karen paced the driveway, barking into her phone. Addison looked close to tears. 10 minutes later, the lead inspector emerged, face grim. Mom, we've seen enough. This property is being condemned effective immediately. What? Karen's screech echoed down the street. You can't do that! We can, and we are. He started filling out forms. The violations are extensive. Dangerous wiring, compromised foundation, illegal material substitutions. This building is a disaster waiting to happen. But it's my daughter's wedding present. Karen grabbed his arm. Please, there must be something. Step back, Mom. He pulled away. The only thing you can do is hire licensed contractors to bring everything up to code. Until then, no one enters this property. The second inspector started placing bright red condemnation notices on all the doors and windows. Addison burst into tears. Mom, what about our plans? The wine cellar? Jack's office? This is sabotage! Karen whirled around, scanning the street. Someone did this on purpose. Someone who knew about the renovations. I slid lower in my seat as her gaze swept past my car. Jack cleared his throat. Maybe we should postpone the wedding. Until this is sorted. No! Karen and Addison shouted simultaneously. My phone lit up with a call from Uncle Caleb. Ignore. The inspectors finished their work, handing Karen a thick stack of violations. You have 30 days to submit a remediation plan. After that, the city takes possession. I watched Karen's face as she flipped through the pages, saw the moment she recognized some of the photos, the ones she'd ignored when I'd shown her years ago. Maria, she whispered, then louder. Maria! That was my cue to leave. I started my engine. As I pulled away, I caught one last glimpse in my rearview mirror. Karen standing in the driveway, violation notices scattered around her feet, staring at my retreating car with pure hatred. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Mom, Karen knows she's threatening police. Addison, how could you do this to me? Uncle Caleb, you've destroyed this family. Cody, need a place to lay low? I drove to the park where I used to sketch building designs as a teenager, sat on a bench and finally let myself feel it all. Satisfaction, guilt, fear, and overwhelming relief. A new text from Karen. You think you've won? I'll make sure you never work in this city again. No one betrays family like this. I thought about the 3 years I'd spent fixing their mistakes, about Karen's smug face at the engagement party, about being called too ambitious, like it was a curse. My reply was simple. Guess I'm ambitious enough to burn bridges too. Enjoy the renovation bills. I blocked her number and leaned back, watching clouds drift overhead. Tomorrow would bring consequences, family fallout, possible legal threats, burned professional bridges. But today I'd shown them exactly what happened when you pushed an ambitious woman too far. And it felt like freedom. The fallout hit faster than I expected. By sunset, my phone was flooded with voicemails from relatives I hadn't heard from in years, all suddenly legal experts on property law and family loyalty. I was hiding out at Cody's apartment when Mom called. Karen's on the warpath, she said without preamble. She's hired a lawyer. They're looking for proof you sabotaged the property. Good luck with that. I picked at a loose thread on Cody's couch. Everything I reported was their own work, their own violations. Addison's wedding is falling apart. Jack's family is having doubts. Shocking that they doubt a property that can't legally be occupied. Maria, Mom's voice softened. I know why you did it. But this is getting ugly. Karen's calling everyone, demanding they choose sides. A text popped up from my cousin Rachel. Holy shit, you actually did it. Karen's having a meltdown at the country club. Total scene. Dad filmed it. I have to go, Mum said suddenly. Karen's here. She wants to search my house for renovation documents. Let her. I sat up straighter. She won't find anything. I know. Mom paused. Because you were always smarter than she gave you credit for. After we hung up, Cody handed me a beer. You okay? No. I checked my email. 3 wedding vendors had already dropped me from their recommended architect list. Karen worked fast. But I'm not sorry. My phone rang again. Unknown number. Maria speaking. This is David from Metropolitan Contractors. A gruff voice. Karen Wilkins asked me to look at a property renovation. Says you're familiar with the work? I sat up straighter. I am. She wants us to fast-track repairs. Says money's no object. He chuckled. But between you and me, these violation photos. This is months of work. Maybe years. Really? I smiled. How fascinating. Thing is, she keeps insisting some of these problems don't exist. Says her niece made them up. But I'm looking at the foundation photos right now. The ones showing the foam sealant cover-up? Exactly. He paused. Ma'am, did you take these photos? No comment, but I suggest you check the timestamp metadata. After he hung up, Cody raised an eyebrow. Making friends? Karen's about to learn how expensive revenge can be. I checked my messages. Oh, look, Addison's wedding venue cancelled. Apparently they don't want to be associated with a family property scandal. Maria, Cody sat beside me. You know this isn't over, right? Karen won't stop until she finds proof it was you. She can look all she wants. I pulled up the city complaint portal, showing him the anonymous submission. Everything's clean. Legal, above board. My phone buzzed. Uncle Caleb. Need to talk. Alone. About the wiring. Don't. Cody warned. I replied, nothing to discuss. Ask your contractor about aluminum versus copper. Seconds later. Please. Karen doesn't know I'm calling. This could ruin us. Should have thought of that before you cut corners, I muttered, blocking his number. A new email arrived, from Jack's mother. Wedding postponed indefinitely. Hope you're happy with yourself. I was drafting a reply when someone knocked on Cody's door. We both froze. Maria, Mum's voice. I know you're in there. Please. I opened the door. Mom looked exhausted, clutching her purse like armor. Karen's losing it, she said, stepping inside. She's talking about private investigators, about proving criminal intent. Let her. I crossed my arms. Everything I reported was true. I know. Mom met my eyes. I saw the problems while you were fixing them. I should have said something then. Mom. No, listen. She grabbed my hands. You were right. What they did, what we all did letting it happen, was wrong. But Maria, Karen's not going to stop. She's already called your firm's partners. Of course she has. I laughed bitterly. Can't have an ambitious woman succeeding professionally, can we? She's saying you deliberately sabotaged a family gift. That you... Mom swallowed. That you did substandard work yourself to set them up. My phone lit up with another message. Addison. Mom's hiring a forensic accountant. Hope your records are clean, cousin. I showed Mom the text. See? They still think they can threaten me into submission. What are you going to do? I thought about the documents safely stored in multiple cloud accounts, about timestamps and metadata that proved exactly when each violation occurred, about years of emails warning them about problems they'd ignored. I'm going to let Karen dig, I said quietly, and I'm going to watch her uncover exactly how deep her own negligence goes. Mom squeezed my hand. You really are too ambitious for them. Yes, I smiled. I really am. The family intervention happened on a Sunday because Karen always did love ruining weekends. They ambushed me at Mum's house. Karen, Uncle Caleb, Addison, and a sharp-suited man I assumed was their lawyer. Sit down, Maria. Karen's voice dripped honey-coated venom. We need to talk about what you've done. I remained standing. Nothing to talk about. We have proof. She nodded to the lawyer who opened his briefcase. Your inspection friend Cody? He's been quite helpful. My heart stopped. What? Oh, don't worry. Karen smiled. He didn't mean to be. But his secretary's very chatty, especially about late-night visits from certain ambitious nieces. The lawyer spread photos across the coffee table. Me, entering Cody's building, leaving with folders, security camera timestamps. That proves nothing, I said, but my voice wavered. No, Karen pulled out more papers. How about these repair receipts? All in your name. You knew about every violation because you fixed them yourself, then reported them anyway. After you stole my property. Your property? She laughed. You were a contractor. Nothing more. 3 years, I exploded. 3 years of my life, my savings, my work. Which we would have compensated you for. Uncle Caleb spoke up. Eventually. Liar. I turned to him. You knew about the foundation, the wiring. You knew it could kill someone. We can still fix this, Karen interrupted. Drop the complaints. Sign a statement saying you falsified evidence. We'll pay your renovation costs. I stared at her. You think this is about money? Of course it is. She stood, straightening her pearls. Everything's about money. Or did you think your little revenge would actually change anything? Addison sniffled in the corner. Jack's family won't even talk to us now. Good. I faced my cousin. At least they have standards. That's enough. Karen slapped the table. Sign the papers, or we'll sue you for every penny you have. Your career, your reputation, gone. I pulled out my phone, pulling up emails. Funny thing about reputations, Aunt Karen. They work both ways. What are you... Email from 3 years ago. I started reading. Dear Aunt Karen, the foundation damage is severe. Using foam sealant instead of proper repairs is dangerous and illegal. Please approve the contractor quote. Your response, stop being dramatic. Handle it yourself. The lawyer frowned. Karen's face reddened. Or this one, I continued. Uncle Caleb, the aluminum wiring is a fire hazard. We need licensed electricians. His response, too expensive. Just cover it up. Those are private, Uncle Caleb started. They're evidence. I met Karen's eyes. Every violation, every cover-up, every time you chose profit over safety. All documented, all time-stamped, all backed up to multiple clouds. You wouldn't dare. Karen's voice shook. Try me. I turned to the lawyer. By the way, did they mention the asbestos they found in 2019? The inspection report they buried? I have that too. The lawyer closed his briefcase. Mrs. Wilkins, we should discuss this privately. No! Karen grabbed his arm. She's bluffing. My phone buzzed. A text from Jack. Wedding's officially cancelled. Thanks for saving me from this family. I showed it to Addison. She burst into tears and ran out. You've destroyed everything, Karen whispered. No. I walked to the door. You did that yourself. I just exposed it. Maria. Uncle Caleb stepped forward. Please, the repairs will bankrupt us. Should have thought of that before you cut corners. I paused in the doorway. Oh, and Karen? The city inspector's report goes public tomorrow. Might want to warn your country club friends. Outside, Mom was waiting on the porch. I heard everything, she said quietly. Taking Karen's side? No. She hugged me. Taking yours. Finally. My phone lit up with notifications as family members chose sides. Some supported me. Most didn't. I blocked them all. A final text from Karen. You'll regret this. Family is everything. I typed back. No, integrity is everything. But you wouldn't know about that. Later that night, Cody called. They came to my office, he said. I'm sorry about the security footage. Not your fault. I watched the sunset from my apartment. They were always going to find something. What now? I thought about Karen's face when I mentioned the public report, about Uncle Caleb's fear of bankruptcy, about Addison's cancelled wedding. Now, I smiled. Now I watch them deal with the consequences of their own actions, for once in their lives. You really are too ambitious for them, Cody said. Yes. I raised a glass to the setting sun, and I'm finally proud of that. The condemned duplex stood empty, a monument to karma wrapped in yellow tape and red notices. I parked across the street, watching contractors come and go with increasingly grim expressions. Each one left shaking their head, clutching estimates that made Karen's perfect world crumble a little more. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Karen's selling her house to pay for repairs. Moving in with Addison. I smiled, remembering Karen's smug face when she'd announced the gift. Karma really was a patient teacher. Another buzz. An email from a development firm I'd never heard of. Regarding your renovation portfolio. Before I could open it, a familiar Mercedes pulled up to the duplex. Karen stepped out, looking decidedly less polished than usual. She spotted my car and marched over, heels clicking on pavement. I rolled down my window. Need something? You win. Her voice cracked. Is that what you want to hear? You've ruined us. No, your shortcuts and lies ruined you. I just exposed them. The contractors say it'll take a year. She gripped my car door. $500,000 minimum. Our savings, my house, Caleb's retirement. Sounds expensive. I checked my phone. Almost like doing it right the first time would have been cheaper. You could help. Her grip tightened. Your knowledge, your connections. I laughed. Now you want my ambition? I was wrong, okay? Tears smeared her mascara. You were right about everything. The foundation, the wiring. We should have listened. But you didn't. I met her eyes. Because ambitious women don't know their place, right? She flinched. My phone buzzed again. The development firm. Your renovation documentation impressed us? Would you consider consulting on our historic restoration project? Maria, please. Karen's voice softened. We're still family. No. I put my phone down. Family doesn't steal dreams. Family doesn't punish ambition. Family doesn't force women into tiny boxes and call it tradition. I'm sorry. Save it. I started my engine. The city inspector's coming back tomorrow. Better hope they don't find anything new. As I pulled away, I saw Addison approach her mother. They stood together, watching their perfect gift crumble under the weight of exposed lies. At home, I opened the development firm's email fully. They'd seen my documentation of the duplex violations. Apparently, thorough records impressed people who actually cared about quality work. They wanted to meet. My doorbell rang. Mum stood there with a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. Thought you might need this. She stepped inside. Karen's selling her jewelry collection. Good. I poured the wine. Maybe she'll learn something about value. Addison's looking at apartments. Mum settled on my couch. The wedding's definitely off. Jack's family sent back all the gifts. And Uncle Caleb? Taking early retirement, mandatory after the city found more violations in his other properties. I showed her the development firm's email. Look what Karma sent me. She read it, smiling. A bigger project? More responsibility? Everything Karen feared. I raised my glass. Guess I'm still too ambitious. No. Mom clinked her glass against mine. You're exactly ambitious enough. My phone lit up with a final text from Karen. The contractors found more problems. Please, we need your help. I blocked her number and opened my laptop, pulling up the development firm's portfolio. Their historic restoration project looked challenging, complex, and absolutely perfect. Mum peered over my shoulder. Taking it? Of course. I started drafting my response. Someone has to show them how ambitious women get things done right. Karen will hate that you're succeeding. Good. I hit send. Let her watch me rise from the ashes of her perfect plans. Outside my window, the city sparkled with possibility. Somewhere out there, Karen was selling her treasures to fix the mess she'd made. Uncle Caleb was facing the consequences of his shortcuts. Addison was learning that perfect facades crack under pressure. And me? I was exactly where I needed to be, free from their boxes, their expectations, their suffocating traditions. My phone buzzed one last time. The development firm. Meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m.? I replied immediately. I'll bring my portfolio and my ambition. Mom raised her glass again. To Karma? No. I smiled, thinking of Karen's crumbling empire, of Uncle Caleb's exposed lies, of Addison's shattered illusions. To ambitious women who refused to stay in their place. We drank to that, watching the sunset paint the sky in colors of change. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying others, it's about proving them wrong by succeeding on your own terms. And I was just getting started.